Monday Musings. We have yet another interesting meeting today on a subject that is close to many of us. So the talk for the day is going to be on corporate social responsibility, the law, environment, and implementation. We have amidst us a very interesting speaker, Mr. R.S. Krishnaswamy, a good friend of mine, a person who's basically a master's in engineering, mechanical engineering, a person who has gone through all the three phases. As a very successful businessman, he has been creating wealth for the country and employment for this region by running an enterprise very successfully for over 30 years. He has been a volunteer and a leader in various service organizations, starting from Rotary to Sirutuli, and he has seen how these NGOs have been making a difference to society by the way they've been performing. And when something like the CSR law became very important, he thought that he should make a much more significant contribution to the development of this region. And that made him start CSR Spark, a platform which brings together various stakeholders like NGOs, corporates, government bodies, and so on. Mr. Krishnaswamy is a certified CSR professional, one of the first in this region. And he has been certified by the Institute of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Delhi. He is a certified corporate director and a visiting faculty in the Institute of Directors. As an apex member of Sirutuli, I know the kind of contribution that he has made by spending several hours making a significant difference to the quality of impact that Sirutuli has been making. Earlier, as an active member of the Rotary Club of Coimbatore West, he has been involving himself in various projects. So a man who has got hands-on experience in various areas, whether it is business or NGOs, we thought he's the right person to bring them together for the cause of CSR, which has a lot of potential in making a difference to the living of our people. So, and CSR Spark has been organizing various programs in Coimbatore, Chennai, and various other places. I'm glad to say that he has been actively doing various programs even for the Madras Management Association. And some of the programs that he has done have won very wide acclaim. So with these few words, let me introduce to you the speaker of the day, Mr. Krishnaswamy, who will tell us all that you would like to know about CSR. Over to you, Mr. Krishnaswamy.
Sir, you're not audible. No, sir. You're not audible, sir. You have to unmute again. Unmute now. No, not yet, sir. I think the person who came there, no, he is you're not audible actually to us. We can see you clearly, but your voice is not clear.
You have to unmute. You're not audible. பண்ணியாச்சா பாருங்க, எனக்கு காமிங்க, நாங்க பேசுறோம் பாருங்க.
Hello. Yeah. Now you are able to hear you a bit.
போன்ல தான் கேக்குது எனக்கு. We're not hearing you. Are you able to hear us? Are you able to hear us? கேட்கல. Not hearing.
Good evening, Prashant. Good evening, KK.
Good evening, dear sir.
We are just about to start.
Okay, sure.
We're not audible.
Ramesh sir, good evening. Ramesh sir, past president Ramesh Kumar sir is here.
Oh,
Ramesh sir, hello.
welcome.
Hi, Krishna. Hi, Prashant. Hi.
Hi, Ramesh.
I think something wrong with the system that he has. Maybe is to slowly look at it and
We were doing testing, it was working. I don't know what went.
lose connection somewhere maybe.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, now you're audible. Yes.
Yeah, you're audible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You can start, sir.
Right. Okay.
Our president Jayakumar Ramdas
Hello,
sir.
sir. Good evening, Jay Kumar here.
Good evening, Jake. I think you must have seen me. Not very.
Yes, sir. Correct.
My face will be familiar to you. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting and coming to address it.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Thanks, Krishnaswamy, for the great introduction. You forgot one thing. I'm a full-time farmer now. Okay. Okay. Anyhow, thanks to Coimbatore Management Association for having invited me to deliver this talk on CSR. I try to share this. Yes. You're able to see a screen, Krishnaswamy?
Yeah. No, not yet.
Huh?
You're not seeing the screen. We're only seeing you.
Abdiya.
Ama.
1 minute. Now?
Yeah, you have to open that file. You have to open that file and make it into full. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hippo? Ilya, Hippo, you're still seeing me only.
Yeah.
இல்ல சார் உங்க ஸ்கிரீன் தெரியுது அந்த ஃபைல் ஓபன் பண்ணுங்க
அந்த ஃபைலை டபுள் கிளிக் பண்ணி
ஓபன் பண்ணுங்க அந்த பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஃபைல்
Yeah, perfect. Now make it full screen. That is all. Slideshow.
Yes. Now?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Good evening. Sorry for all this technical snags. What happens nowadays, even in spite of a lot of trials that we see. Anyhow, now CSR, corporate social responsibility, has been introduced from 2014 onwards. It's been mandated in India, though it has been practiced worldwide. And as far as the Indian context is concerned, we like to consider the intent of why this law was brought in, and what is the environment under which it is working and how it is being implemented. These are the three main factors I will be stressing on. 30 minutes is a very short time, but somehow I will try to get along. Now, CSR as such, when you see, it is a partnership and convergence between corporate sector, civil society, and the government. When you start a business, your primary objective will be to earn profits and to satisfy the shareholders, and nothing else happens. So this is the objective with which you run a business, and the only stakeholder will be your shareholder in mind to get the money out till you stabilize to some extent. It is at one stage you have to start thinking of giving back to the society, and that is where CSR comes into the picture. and responsible business is also there. And of course, you think about previously the balance sheet only was important. Now you call it an annual report, where financial reporting has been preceded by social reporting and environmental reporting. And there is the concept of moral capitalism, making money but making it morally. That is the idea. Now, what do you take from the society as an industry, as a business? It is the land holding, the conversion of the land from one type to the other type, and the government infrastructure which is being created. That is again utilized by the company. The natural resources, either in the form of raw material or for operating your business, it is done. The local skills are taken away. Right now, you can find a shortage of agricultural labor throughout Coimbatore, or wherever the industry comes, the agricultural labor shortage kicks in. And of course, the culture of the entire area changes. Now, the intent of the law. The intent of the law has to be understood with the stakeholders in business. As I told, the shareholders were the only persons when you start the business, make money, give it to them, be happy. Of course, the employees kick in the value chain right from your purchase up to your sales and the marketing after sales, everything put together. Government is another important stakeholder where it earns its revenue from good businesses. The financial institutions, they earn their money through lending to good businesses. Of course, the society is there, the environment is there, and of course, you have the civil rights group and politicians, we should not forget. So, as a part of this, you can notice that I have marked in red society and environment, because all the others are paid in cash or they are reciprocated, whereas the society and environment, whatever you take out from them to run the business, you don't pay back. And this is the intent of CSR law, paying back to the society and the environment. So that is the convergence of these three, the business, environment, and society. Now the CSR environment as such, normally I do this ABCD of CSR. A is implementing agencies, either it can be done directly by the company. I'll come to that last. The beneficiaries, I told you right from the previous slide. How do I go previous? No. The intent of the law, you see, the society and environment are the beneficiaries here. The total law is aimed at these two. And the corporates come into play once they reach a threshold amount, that threshold value in their turnover, net worth, or net profit. And you have the government, the academia, and CSR professionals driving the entire environment. And the implementing agencies, as you see, it can do directly, or it can be done by company-owned foundations like you've seen Infosys Foundation, HCL Foundation, everybody has one. Reliance has a foundation. They run it on their own, the programs. The government-created entity, other things I will explain, and the civil society organizations. Now, so what are civil society organizations? Community-based organizations, village organizations. Some Rotary is a community-based organization straight away. And of course, in you consider our Coimbatore Management Association, it will fit in here. Professional associations, it comes there. So you yourself can become an implementing agency, provided you should either be a public trust or a society or a Section 8 company. You should have ATG registration as well as 12A registration. And recently they have introduced something called unique identification number from Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It has to be got through CSR, submitting CSR 1. You should have minimum 3 years experience in the related field, and you should be fully compliant. Now the Companies Act. Companies Act is very simple, so that you don't need consultants for Companies Act. So your regular company secretary will be able to decode this, just a few 2 paragraphs. And along with it, it comes the Schedule 7 and the CSR rules. Schedule 7 tells you, Section 135 tells you about the Act. Schedule 7 tells you what are all the activities that can be conducted or undertaken through CSR. CSR rules tells you how to do it. And of course, notifications and circulars, they are there released by the government from time to time to refine the law. Now the crux of CSR, what is it? Section 135, any company during the immediately preceding year having a turnover of 1,000 crore or a net worth of 500 crore or a net profit of 5 crores, of course, they come into the CSR ambit. Immediately, the CSR committee of the board has to be constituted, and it should comprise minimum of 3 directors, including 1 independent director, and the other things are there. I'm not going to keep on reading. And the CSR last line is important. CSR committee need not be not required if CSR spend is less than 50 lakhs. Because small companies, you can do a CSR without a CSR committee. Now the responsibilities, the CSR committee and the board. You can see the CSR committee is part of the board. So it is a board level CSR. They have made it a board level activity. Responsibility hinges on the board. Nobody else. You cannot pass the buck on to your lower level officials. Nothing can be done there. Now the CSR committee, it has its own duties to do. Everything is there. I'm just trying to avoid reading all that, whatever is there. Then the board has its own responsibilities. These are the 2 main elements of the CSR implementation. All what I have been talking now is from the corporate point of view. I have not gone into the NGOs or anything. Everything is from the corporate point of view. So CSR committee, the board that is there, and what is the CSR spend? Most of you know it, 2% of the average net profit of immediately 3 preceding years. This will be calculated in accordance with section 198. And supposing it is, a company has started only last year, but you come under the ambit, you take 2% profit of last year and spend. For 2 years, you take 2 years, that is all. And failure to spend, previously it was on, only either you spend or you explain why you have not spent. But now they made it with the recent amendments in January 21, a lot of what you call compliance levels have kicked in. If there is either once you complete the year, you have no ongoing project. I will tell you what is an ongoing project. Everything has been explained. Then it has to be given to the specified funds. What are the specified funds? That also I will tell you later. Within 6 months, it has to go there. If you have spent excess, that also can be set off in the subsequent 3 years. And the unspent amount, you have to start a separate unspent account for every year. That validity of that unspent CSR account is only 3 years. This year I'm not unable to spend. Next 3 years I can spend it through if there is a continuous project. You cannot simply dump it there and do it without an ongoing project. So the ongoing project has to be specifically approved by the board. How many years? Every year budgeting, everything has to go there. So they're making things very strict over here. If all these things, if you want to escape, straight away put it into the specified fund, give a check and keep quiet. That's the game. Now, what are the penal provisions? Previously, it was a criminal offense. Now they removed the criminal concept of aspect of it. So it is for the company. There is a separate fine, and for every officer of the company who is in default. This I have been writing to the Ministry of Corporations to find out who are all the officers. There is no response yet. Which officer is it? Does it stop with the board or does it goes below? That is again. Now, Schedule 7. This is what tells you which are all the activities you can undertake within CSR. Of course, eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition. I don't want to read again. There are several areas which have been covered over here. All these pertain to your Millennium Development Goals of the UN. It has been taken from there because MDGs were in vogue from 2010 and this came in 2014, so that has been taken, and subsequently some modifications have been done. You can see the last one, contribution to COVID-19, also has been added over there. And you can interpret whatever you're spending based on the intent of the law. That is why I was talking about the intent of the law, and then I will come back here. Now, what are the funds again? You can just go through it, read it. These are all available in a particular website, which I'll be telling you later. I need not read out all these things. And what are the autonomous bodies where, see, these are, you cannot call them implementing agencies, but you are permitted to donate, put in your money over here for activities in those bodies. That is all. It's the easiest way of spending your CSR amount. Now, this is what this sustainable development goals. This is one thing which you have to have in mind, either if you are a corporate or an NGO implementing agency, this is something you have to have in mind. please go through this and see to it that you are following whatever is mentioned in these things. Most of these are covered in the Schedule 7, but there are some small thing like agriculture. It is not clean, affordable and clean energy. Goal 7. You can put it in one of those, but it is not explicitly mentioned. I will tell you the drawback. Why? What is that? Now the important definitions in CSR. I will have to rush through. Please bear with me. Administrative overheads. This is for the corporate. Don't confuse this with that of the NGOs. NGOs overheads are different. The corporates, the overheads, it's a different concept. So the whatever expenses within the company you are spending, that is allowed in the administrative expenses. And expenses towards design, implementation, monitoring, evaluation, all these things, once it gets out of the company, it is added to the cost of the project and not added into the administrative overheads. Then what is not CSR? This is the most important thing which everybody has to understand. Activities part of the normal course of business. Supposing you're supposed to build toilets for your workers, you build it there, you cannot put it under CSR. It is part of your thing. You do a health camp for your workers, it doesn't come under thing. Activities undertaken outside the country. Recently, they have given an exception to training of sports person at national and international level outside the country. That is the only activity which can be done outside the country in CSR. Then contribution to any political party, not CSR. Then, as I already told you, benefiting only the employees of the company. Then sponsorships are not there. You can sponsor a marathon. It doesn't come under what you call CSR. The last line is again part of your compliance for your business, nothing to do with CSR. Now, the important definitions, the CSR policy. What is the CSR policy? It is recommended by the CSR committee. I told you only 2 players are there and approved by the board. And it formulates, I'm just skipping one line in between. Those 3 are most important. Recommended by the CSR committee, approved by the board, and formulates the annual action plan. The annual action plan has come into existence only from the recent amendment in January 21. That is a very important step which has been done. I will go through it otherwise. Then, what is an ongoing project? Multi-year project with timeline not exceeding 3 subsequent years. That is, first year you start doing the project. It can be planned for another 3 years. So totally you have 4 years to implement a project approved by the board. I told you, remaining 3 years expenses, first year itself you put it into the unspent CSR account, and every year you draw it. And if it is left over later, again there is a way that will come to the subsequent slides. Then the next one is, see what is CSR. This comes under the definition of the section 135. And the last 2 lines is most important. Every company that falls below threshold limits for 3 consecutive financial years need not comply with section 135. You are already into CSR. Next year, you are not coming under the threshold limit. Second year, even then you will have to spend. Second year also, third year, again you have to spend. Second year you have to spend. Third year you can get out of CSR. 3 years you are out of the limit means. That is that. Now the implementation. This is an important aspect as far as you have to understand. Can be done directly, the first point. Then, of course, you can run an own foundation. Again, that has to be a Section 8 company or a public trust or a society. It should have 12A and ATG registration. Then the implementation can be done by 2 foundations put together. But only thing that report separately. Again, state or central government established organization. The third one, any entity, that all these things I have explained what are those entities. I will tell you where you can find it. External agency is the most important thing. All the NGOs available, like even your Coimbatore Management Association, can be an implementing agency. Only condition is, I told you, Section 8 company. It can be a Section 8 company or a public trust. Trust, there is a separate thing called private trust. They are not eligible. Should be a Section 8 company, public trust, or a society. Again, 12A, ATG, and you have to have 3 years track record in similar activities. And for all the implementing agencies, the recent introduction is the unique identification number through Form CSR submitted to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Your chartered accountant will be able to do this for you easily. Now, CSR implementations, again, international organizations can be engaged only for design, monitoring, evaluation also. They cannot be engaged in implementation. And collaboration between two companies permitted, only thing you have to report separately. Then utilization of funds. See, if in a business, you make payments against an invoice. In an NGO, there is no such thing called an invoice. So somebody is giving you the money, you are utilizing their funds. So the question of GST will never come. Again, I will giving you a sidestepping into GST. GST will never come for NGOs. If you are not doing any sales of any other product, certain NGOs, definitely they do some sales, they get caught in the web. If you are not doing any sales, GST will not come. Otherwise, for CSR activities, there is no GST. Any GST suffered by the during the activity of implementing CSR, that is shown as a money spent by for the project. That's all. You cannot what you call take credit for all those things. That is one thing. So utilization certificate is a very critical one. If you are really good NGO, every quarterly you should submit a utilization certificate. That is the best practice I'm telling you, signed by the project head and the organization head. Finally, annually you submit it with the signature of your chartered accountant. Utilization certificate. That is your invoice basically. And of course, the board is responsible for a thing. The CSR committee, there are certain doubts. Should have 3 or more directors. One should be an independent director. In certain companies, there are independent directors not required to be held as per the company's mandate. So naturally, here also you don't have to have an independent director. In case only 2 directors are there, 2 directors will be there. For a foreign company, one is as designated under section 380, and the other second person can be nominated by the company. He need not be a director. Yeah. This annual action plan I was telling you, this is a very, very critical instrument. CSR policy will include the annual action plan. It should include the list of CSR projects conforming to Schedule 7 and how it is being executed, utilization of funds, all the details should be there. And it should be put in the website of each and every company. Unfortunately, I have to apologize, I have not gone into any company and checked this. I don't know how far they have started implementing this. So any NGO, you want to know which company, how much money is available, you can go into their website, find out how they are spending, which areas they are spending and everything. And the annual action plan can be modified by the board from time to time. Now, CSR expenditure, admin overheads of the corporate should not exceed 5%. I'm not talking about the NGO side of admin expenses. We're talking about the corporate side of admin overheads, 5% of the CSR budget maximum. Then surplus from CSR projects, it's not profit. It has to be brought back into projects, or it can be spent to the unspent CSR account. It can be sent there and spent over the subsequent years on an ongoing project. If nothing is possible, of course, you have the specified fund or government funds, straight away sign a check and push it inside. Now, supposing you spend some excess amount, you over the next 3 years, you can set it off against your CSR expenses. Now, you're buying capital assets in CSR. What happens? It can be held only by a Section 8 company or a public trust or a society with CSR ID. That is, the implementing agency can hold a capital asset. For a hospital, you are giving an ambulance. It can be a public authority or self-help groups, collectives, entities, everywhere it can be done. Beneficiary of the CSR project is the hospital. When you're giving it, it should be in the name of the hospital. It cannot be in the name of the company, corporate company. You cannot say, I'll buy it in my name, then you start trying to claim depreciation, everything, expenses over there. It is not the right method. It has to be in the name of the beneficiary. That is one thing. Then, of course, there were some amendments regarding the capital assets created prior to the loss and everything. Of course, those things can be read through. CSR reporting, annexures 1 and 2 was there. I just tell you what are all there. And the impact assessment again should be done through an independent agency. Don't worry, only big players are there. CSR spend of 10 crores and more during immediately 3 preceding years. Only then, and even in then applicable for projects only having an outlay of more than 1 crore or more. Other smaller projects, you can simply avoid impact assessment. But it is a good practice to continue doing impact assessment. That is always good. Then impact assessment report will go with the your annual report on CSR. Impact assessment expenses, in maximum 5% of the CSR expenses you can use for impact assessment to a limit of 50 lakhs. Now, CSR rules, again, display of activities on website. These should be there. I told you composition of the CSR committee overall there. CSR policy means it automatically includes the annual action plan. And of course, the approved projects. All these three should be there. Then the next one is transfer of unspent CSR amount. You can transfer it to any fund mentioned in Schedule 7. I've already invested the funds. You can easily go and get it over there. The annexures 1 and 2 are what you are going to give for your annual report. So annexure 1, the period is over. Annexure 2, these are the things the annexure 2 will ask for you. Be prepared. You see, even if you're an NGO trying to work, ultimately this is what the corporate has to fill up. The outline of CSR policy, the CSR committee members, all these things have to be there. So when you're submitting your report to the completion report to the corporate, make sure that the corporate will be able to easily fill up all these things. The other side, the outline of CSR policy is from the corporate side. CSR committee members say they're asking for the attendance also. So all these things have to come under the thing. Spend on ongoing projects. All the details are there to be filled in. So what you call your returns. Administrative overheads, then the spend on impact assessment, total spend. Total spend is your spend on projects plus administrative overheads plus impact assessment. This is all which is happening. Just rushing through these. This is one important slide. Please make a note of these two websites. E-book companies. This is maintained by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Whatever I'm telling you now, the technical Schedule 7, CSR rules, notification, circular, everything is available there. You need not search anywhere. ebook.mca.gov.in, and the next one is the National CSR portal, the csr.gov.in. It is maintained by Ministry of Corporate Affairs again. The first one, of course, Institute of Company Secretaries of India is part of that first website. They are hosting it. The second one is directly by the MCA. Here is where I mine all the data. What is the CSR expenses over a period and all those things. Now, there are several amendments which have come through. I am just skipping through. So many amendments are there, FAQs are there. And the government is continuously refining the CSR by using these amendments over there. Circulars, everything is coming. See, up to 25/8/2021, there has been amendments, especially with the COVID kicking in. Lot of amendments came into the government has reacted very well actually for this. Now, this is the most important thing. Interesting thing. The annual spend in crores of rupees. The national level spend, you can see, this is available in the website csr.gov.in. Only thing I have picked it up and tabulated it. Every year, the CSR expenses has gone up. We have crossed 1 lakh crore. That is a huge milestone which has not been mentioned in any press. Nobody has even cared about it. But last year alone, it was 24,689 crores from only 22,500 companies. And we have to compare, and just to make it a bit more interesting, I put in some Tamil Nadu statistics over there. The total spend so far is 4,421 crores. Every year has been increasing. And on an average, percentage spent is around 4.38% of the total national spend is being spent by Tamil Nadu. But you will realize that this has to go to some level to match with our GDP contribution to the national figure. We are contributing somewhere approximately 8.5 to 10%, if I'm right, to the national GDP. So this should reach 10%. Your spend by TN or spend in TN. See, the spend indicates not only companies in TN, companies from outside are spending within TN, and some companies from TN are going outside and spending. So how do you bring them back? We have good, only ways have good projects, good implementing agencies, good support from the government. They'll be able to do it. This is the figure. Now, this is again an interesting thing. What is the problem with these figures? Everything looks rosy, but what is the problem? First problem is sector-wise, development sector-wise, you can see there are several development sectors enlisted over there. You will find that certain sectors, lot of spend is there, certain sectors, there is a lot of inequity is there. So that is one thing which has to be addressed. And why I marked in red over there, the certain cells alone. These are the, normally you say CSR, people write a check, they are not going to implement it. Fortunately, Indian corporate companies, they are doing a fantastic job. More than 90% they are doing on-field implementation. They are not sitting back and writing checks. It's a very positive development. That is what I marked. The red ones are all the donations which have gone directly by checks. Other ones are all implemented. This is a matter of interest for you. The next one is your, what is the state GDP and what should have been the spend of CSR. You take the percentage, the national level is 0.06% of GDP should have come in as CSR. Tamil Nadu is 0.05, Maharashtra is doing well. Again, this unequal regional imbalance. First one I was talking about development sector imbalance. This is regional imbalance. These two things have to be corrected. They have made some certain suggestions. So this is the lacuna right now in the CSR sector. Otherwise, everything is fine. Now, important terms in CSR, I just rushed through. Of course, beneficiaries has to be there. Once the beneficiaries are identified, make a baseline study, create a need line assessment, project proposal, convergence in the sense some other NGO may be working over there. You converge your project according or with the government schemes already there. Then partnership is between the beneficiary, the NGO. I told you ABCD, that is there. Share the value, implement it, monitor, document, outcome, impact assessment, reporting, exit strategy. That is the most important thing. Please don't be sitting at one particular project itself. You create good beneficiaries, hand over to the beneficiaries, make it sustainable. That is why I've included sustainability. Make it sustainable. Let them run the project on their own. After that, you exit, go to some other place and start doing it. And of course, you can replicate and scale up your own project or somebody else's project. What are the bottlenecks in CSR? Again, weak implementing agencies. They don't have a proper track record, compliance capacity. Unless you have good NGOs or implementing agencies, CSR is not going to take up further. I know certain NGOs where the corporates come searching and giving fund and asking them to work it. Otherwise, there are certain NGOs still running around, not able to get much money. Then, of course, identification of projects is again a difficult aspect. Location, beneficiaries, everything, exit strategy you don't have. That is again project that has to be done properly. Government approvals. In certain cases, you cannot straight away go and start doing the project. There are certain government projects approvals which have to be got. That again is an issue. And of course, documentation, the NGOs are weak. Most of them are weak. And of course, I told you sector-wise and geographical inequality. That again is a very big bottleneck in CSR. Transparency and availability of funds that has been partly solved because of the annual action plan being brought in. And the last one is the trust deficit. It's very, very difficult. The NGO doesn't, and the corporate, they don't have a trust parity. Then the beneficiary doesn't trust all these two. And the other two don't trust the beneficiary. Once these synchronize, these three synchronize, definitely it's going to be a good job. Now, traits of a good implementing agency, formed voluntarily, not for profit, independent, organized, knowledgeable, experienced, transparent, reputed, should have good social connectivity, and should work for the community. What are the benefits of CSR for a corporate? Stakeholder satisfaction, better brand recognition. Then ITC may be selling cigarettes, but again, wherever they've gone and done their CSR, they have a very good name. It doesn't depend. Your product may be different, but your activity in CSR is going to help you a lot. Then the staff are retained because they're happy that your company is doing something for the local population. Organizational growth, your reputation grows, easier access to capital, shareholders and financial institutions trust you, they work with you. Risk mitigation, that is social engagement. You're working in the society, in case of any riots or anything, your factory is taken care of. It increases the resilience of your factory and the sustainability of your business. That is one thing. And with this, I will close. Any questions? I'm ready to take, Shurma. Yes.
So participants can unmute and ask questions. It's been enabled.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes.
So my name is Mahalingam from DJ Academy, first MBA.
Okay.
So my doubt is the CM and PM relief fund for COVID is considered as a CSR activity, sir?
No, I'm not able to get you clearly. Please repeat the question.
The CM and PM relief fund for COVID is considered as CSR activity, sir?
PM and
See, Chief Minister's Fund, Prime Minister's.
Prime Minister's Fund, you can, for the Prime Minister's Fund, you can donate money. It is considered as what you call CSR activity. I told you, write a check to Prime Minister's Fund and sit back. Chief Minister's Fund doesn't come under the category. That is one thing. Secondly, there is something called national and state level disaster relief funds. Instead of giving it to the Chief Minister's Fund, you give it to disaster relief fund and you can claim it as CSR. That is allowed. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening. Yes.
Yeah, it was an interesting session, very informative too.
Yes.
My question is, sir, actually, as you admitted towards the end of the presentation, the CSR can also act as a differentiator for the corporate brand.
But CSR?
CSR, as you have said yourself, can act as a differentiator for the corporate brand.
Act as I'm not able to hear you properly.
Differentiator.
It can enhance the corporate image also. CSR
Definitely.
can.
See, corporate image will go up. See, you're able to see, now you go see the Coimbatore signals again. If signals are anywhere, you see the CSR initiative, so and so it is put over there. So you get an indirect branding of the corporate.
True, I accept, sir. Fully I accept. My question is, so this means the choice of the CSR project becomes very crucial.
That is why they are specified that you try to do it in your local area network itself.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
My question is,
I didn't stress on that point. It was there in the presentation. It is most advisable to do it in your local area itself.
okay.
That has been mentioned over there. It is not,
Yeah.
though it is not compulsory, you are allowed, you are encouraged to do it in the local area. That's all.
Okay. So the question is, what are the considerations a company can have in the choice of the CSR project to create a better image for the corporate brand itself? What are the normal considerations, sir? Choice of the project.
See, important consideration in the sense, supposing your industry is consuming a lot of water, you start doing water conservation activities all around. So even if you are consuming more water, they will say they are doing, but in spite of that, we are unable to get water over there.
No.
If I don't remember, I think it is Gujarat or somewhere, one of the cement companies, every year they used to shut down during the dry season for 3 months or 4 months, just because the water is priority is for agriculture, drinking and agriculture. You know, water priority first is drinking for human consumption, second is agriculture, third is only the industry. So because of they had to shut down the factory. Ultimately, through CSR, they did a lot of watershed projects throughout the surroundings. There was no watershed. They were running the factory throughout the year.
Okay.
That is the impact. That is the example of choice of CSR projects.
I understand, sir. Maybe they can offset the negative image created.
Yes, yes.
You are right.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Krishnaswamy, I have a question.
Yes.
You have been part of various CSR projects. Can you tell us 2 or 3 projects, maybe regional or national level, which have really created an impact, about which you know and how it has made a difference to lives of people?
See, I talk about foundations which are doing an excellent job. Like you take HCL Foundation. I've been following them closely because of my association with Sirtuli. They are also coming there. Otherwise, also HCL Foundation I've been following because one of our advisors, Mr. Nikhil Pant, he is a faculty and advisor there also. Okay, their projects are too good. Like they are supporting police clubs. I'll tell you the particular project itself. Police clubs in North Madras. Police clubs are nothing but the policemen have in what you call slum areas. They create police clubs. Okay, and the policemen go sit there, teach the children. They have small ground over there. They play with the children. They become very familiar with the children. See, effectively what has happened, the crime rate has come down. Their parents, they are not, now nobody is afraid of the, what you call police, nor are the police trying to always square up with the criminals. So the crime rate has come down drastically. So for this, what you call our HCL Foundation is contributing a lot. That is one project. And of course, I mentioned about Nikhil Pant. He is working in Kashmir. Kashmir, there he is going in for skill training and all those things. Through ONGC sponsoring the amount, the ONGC project that is. He is going in as an implementing agency. Baramulla. He works in Baramulla and Kashmir. That is one thing. So, and similarly, Northeast, there are very good projects going on. And as I told you, this one, the watershed management, that is again very good, which is being done at a large scale. And mostly people try to go in for education and healthcare, because that is where you don't need permissions or anything. Straight away you can do the work and come out. That is the idea behind it. Anything else? Krishnaswamy?
Excellent. No, yeah. We'll wait for other people too.
Okay.
Any Coimbatore-based project that you think has really made an impact?
Coimbatore-based project, of course, Sirutuli's projects are making huge impacts right now. The CSR projects. You can see the tree planting afforestation, which is being conducted by Sirutuli, and the water body maintenance again. It's a huge one, impact which is making. I'll tell you, Bosch had sponsored one Kuttai near Kannimar Kuttai. Okay, somewhere west of Peru. The desilting was done, and the next rain it got filled up. Slowly, one farmer nearby comes back and he gives a feedback. Sir, I've had this well for 30-40 years. I've never seen water in this. Now suddenly water has started coming into it. This is the impact that you can create through CSR funds. Otherwise, nobody is going to touch that Kuttai, and it is going to be there. Now, every year it is filling up because it is being done. Because I work on that, I'm able to tell you immediately regarding CSR, Sirutuli projects. That is the thing.
In fact, I saw a place called Armuga Counter Kuttai somewhere near Peru, which
Yes.
has got filled up recently. The new school of Kikani CBSE is coming somewhere nearby, but it decided create so much impact somewhere there. But what do you think would be for a body like Sirutuli? How it's possible for them to source about 40-50% of the project funds from CSR if they are really good?
No, see, CSR, Sirutuli has earned a reputation. That is what I'm trying. When any NGO hearing about the listening today, your reputation should be so good that the corporate should come to you.
Correct.
First point. Okay. And I have a document from INTAC on preservation of monuments. Okay. What has happened? I just got it today. I cannot share it. I don't think I can share it today. I don't have it with me right now. They have created a document, 78 pages, comprising what are all the projects which can be undertaken with the neat photograph and a small description and the budget. All these three are there. So continuously projects are coming. The corporate has the advantage of just choosing one project and doing. Just like Sirutuli, what we've done, we create an application and all the ponds are shown over there. You can click on any pond, you will know how much money is to be spent. So the corporate comes into it. So it all depends on the implementing agency or the NGO, how much they are doing the documentation. The documentation is a major bottleneck I've been telling you. So unless you do the documentation, it is going to be very difficult in CSR. And once they give you the money, the corporates are going to really screw your happiness. Continuously ask you for utilization certificate. Every week or every week you have to submit reports. So it is the charm of going into CSR for NGOs is that they have to be well equipped. They have to be, the capacity building should be very good in the organization. Somebody has to sit on reporting for CSR. That is something very important. So corporates nowadays will simply give the money and sit back. And you have to have that UID number, which I was telling you.
Okay.
Yes. Anybody else?
Jake here.
Yes.
A couple of questions.
Yes.
One is, some of them would like to give it as a use and spend CSR, the same year they would like to have. But some of the companies would like to write a check for corpuses. There are so many organizations which have their own corpus. If you donate to the corpus, I think again CSR is eligible. But is there any time limit within which the money has to be spent? That is question number one.
Wait, I'll finish this. I'll finish one by one. Okay. See, directly giving to the corpus, you cannot, I don't think it will come under CSR. CSR has
we have been taking money to the corpus because we have a Roundtable India Foundation.
Actually, as per CSR, I'll tell you, any CSR project should be time bound. It should have a starting date. It should have a closing, ending date. It should have reporting. All these things are there. If you are doing it and nobody is finding out, nothing wrong. Otherwise, directly giving it to a corpus. See, in fact, PhD Tech Alumni Association, we are trying to. There is a PhD Tech Alumni Foundation separately. Okay, if somebody donates to the corpus directly in PhD Tech, it is not eligible. But I told you there are some autonomous organizations already given approval by the CSR, the law itself. Those institutions, there is no problem, Jaykumar. I have my own.
In Roundtable India Foundation, we have been taking money to the corpus. And with that money, what we used to do is we'll tie up with the school. The Roundtable India Foundation basically does school projects, infrastructure, government school. So we tie it up and we show that this is the corpus amount which has come in last year or year before last. And this is the project we have completed. That is how we kind of tie the complete, but we've been accepting towards corpus.
No, see, the government does not scrutinize all these right now. Okay. Because they don't have time for all these things. This is becoming more and more messier, CSR. That is one thing. So government does not monitor these things. So you can, instead of that, Jaykumar, I still suggest you individual school projects, you create a project. As I told you, the capital asset should go into the name of the school or whatever it is, or the NGO, whatever. You do not have it in your name. You can have it in the thing itself, school name itself, and you can give it and you create a project and do it. Directly going and parking in the corpus, at a later stage, you may get into problem. Right now, nobody is asking you what is being done. Provided you give a utilization certificate to the corporate, they are happy, they file it and close it. That's all.
And one more question is, when the foreign funding, if the organization is an FCRA approved organization, if you get funds from abroad, can we route it as CSR to the projects here in India? For a company which is getting an FCRA.
FCRA and CSR have nothing in common. FCRA is a different topic totally. CSR is the funds which come from within the country, from companies or foreign Indian companies or foreign companies operating within the country. You're getting funds from them. FCRA, it is a direct contribution from abroad. It comes to you. You can spend it as a grant straight away. Spend it. You don't have to report it to anything. The government. Yes, sir.
And my final question is, what can go wrong in a CSR? When a company gives CSR amount, what are the things that can go wrong?
Going wrong, see, there are aspects which are going wrong. First point of going wrong will be the failure of the NGO. Failure to spend. Okay. Supposing you're given 10 lakhs to an NGO to spend. See, NGO, it is not like business where they spend and take the money. And again, that is what I used to tell all the NGOs. Unless you get money from the corporate, don't work. You are spending their money. You are there to spend. You are an implementing person. So you do it. That is one thing. Secondly, the NGO doesn't work properly. Mainly, they don't. After 1 year, they are not to be found, then you are in problem. They don't report properly. That is again one more problem. You might have given the money, they might have spent it properly, everything is there, but reporting is there. This can go wrong. So that is why your corporate itself can share some skills with the NGO. You can appoint one person under that 5% administrative expenses. You can appoint one person from the corporate itself. Ask them to follow up with the NGO. Ask them to create reports like what you want, because you cannot expect all NGOs to be up to the mark. There are simple NGOs which do fantastic job, but unfortunately their documentation is bad. If you are able to help it, this problem also will not come there.
And is there any administrative expenses, percentage of administrative which is capped in a CSR fund? Because, for example, associations like Rotary and Roundtable, we we have negligent, very negligible overhead cost because most of us go do it voluntarily. But there are organizations like CRI which takes about 30% as administrative cost. So is there any cap from CSR funds towards administrative cost?
See, there is no cap legally. Legally, the only cap is administrative expenses of the corporate for running the program. As far as the implementing agency is concerned, you see, the Rotary is that is the advantage. There are a lot of volunteering available, so the expenses are low. If you are giving 100% to 100 rupees to Rotary, 100 rupees will go to the beneficiary. So Rotary and Roundtable, these are all very good implementing agencies to do it. But when somebody is running an NGO, minimum 15 to 20, 30% will go. He'll have to give. Depends upon the volume that he is doing every day. So supposing every year there's a 1 crore turnover he is doing. To run his office, expenses, everything, you'll have to spend at least 1 lakh a month or something like that. To support, to have sufficient staff members and everything. So that is between the corporate and the NGO. Nothing to do with the government.
Okay.
Nothing. The government is not going to ask you why you have given 30% administrative expenses to the NGO. You can give 30, you can give 40 also, depending on the nature of work. Say that some work may be just about 1 lakh, 10 lakhs or 1 lakh work. 1 lakh work, 30, 40,000 may be the expenses over there for trying to implement it. The larger the volume, this value will come down automatically.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, for a company, sir.
Yes.
ஒரு கம்பெனி வந்து பப்ளிக்ஸ்க்கு வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் ட்ரைனிங் ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ் வந்து ஸ்பான்சர் பண்றாங்கன்னு வெச்சுங்க. அந்த அமௌண்ட் வந்து சிஎஸ்ஆர்ல வருமா?
தாராளமா. கம்பெனி டைரக்டா பண்ணால் சரிங்களா? டைரக்ட் இம்ப்ளிமெண்டேஷன் நீங்க சொல்றது பண்ணலாம். பப்ளிக்கு கூப்பிட்டு ஒரு 10-20 பேர்த்த கூப்பிட்டு ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் பண்ணி இவன் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இவனுக்கு சிஎஸ்ஆர் ஒண்ணுமே இது வாட் யூ கால் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட் ஒண்ணுமே தெரியாது இவனுக்கு இப்ப நாங்க சொல்லி கொடுத்துருக்கோம். ஸோ அந்த ப்ராஜெக்டோட அவுட்கம் என்ன, இஎஸ் லேர்ன்ட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எய்ட், அதோட இம்பாக்ட் என்ன, இன் கேஸ் எனி ப்ராப்ளம் யூ வில் பி ஏபிள் டு அட்டெண்ட் டு பீப்புள். ஸோ ப்ராஜெக்ட் இம்ப்ளிமெண்டேஷன், அவுட்கம், இம்பாக்ட் மூணுமே காமிச்சிடலாம் அதுல. அண்ட் இட் கேன் பி, இட் வில் பி training program maybe for 1 day, maybe for 2 days, maybe for 2 weeks. So that is again period of implementation also you can show. தாராளமா பண்ணலாங்க. பட் அதுக்கு வந்து you will be employing some teachers or faculty for teaching first aid. So அதுக்கு you are paying from the company, that will come under CSR. Nothing wrong. பண்ணலாம்.
Okay sir.
But you should not do it for your own employees or their families.
You cannot do it for your own employee. Own employee வேற மாதிரி போயிடுது.
இல்ல செயின்ட் ஜான்ஸ் ஆம்புலன்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் இப்ப பண்றாங்க சார். செயின்ட் ஜான் ஆம்புலன்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் பண்றாங்க. அதுல வந்து சிஎஸ்ஆர் மூலமா நம்ம பப்ளிக்ஸ்ல ஒரு செலக்டிவ் பர்சனல்ஸ் எடுத்து அவங்களுக்கு வந்து நம்ம கொடுக்கும்போது பப்ளிக்கு கொஞ்சம் அவேர்னஸ் ஆகும்ல சார். ஒரு ஆக்சிடென்ட் நடந்தா என்ன பண்ணணும், டூஸ் அண்ட் டோன்ட்ஸ், சேவ் த லைஃப், அந்த மாதிரி.
அக்ரீட். இப்போ செயின்ட் ஜான்ஸ் ஆம்புலன்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் வந்து இஃப் இட் இஸ் அ ட்ரஸ்ட் இல்லாட்டி செக்ஷன் 8 கம்பெனி இல்லாட்டி சொசைட்டின்னு வச்சுங்க, இப்போ அந்த மாதிரி இருந்துச்சுன்னா அவங்க யூனிக் ஐடி நம்பரும் வாங்கி வச்சு 12AB, ATG எல்லாம் காம்ப்ளைண்டா இருந்தாங்கன்னா டைரக்டா அவங்களுக்கு பணத்தை கொடுத்துட்டு அவங்ககிட்ட இருந்து யூட்டிலைசேஷன் சர்டிஃபிகேட் வாங்கி ஃபைல் பண்ணிட்டு போயிடலாம். இப்போ அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை. பட் தேர் டூயிங் எ குட் ஜாப்னா யூ ஷோ இட் ஆஸ் தோ கம்பெனில இருந்து நாங்களே பண்றோம், பணம் கொடுக்குறோம், டைரக்ட் இம்ப்ளிமெண்டேஷன்ல கொண்டு போயிட்டு those parameters may not be necessary for that particular thing. நீங்க சிஎஸ்ஆர் ரொம்ப சிம்பிள், அதை காம்ப்ளிகேட் பண்ணி பார்த்தோம்னா தான் கஷ்டம். இந்த மாதிரி சிம்பிளா பண்ணிட்டு போனா ஈஸியா இருக்கும். செயின்ட் ஜான்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் வந்து சப்போஸ் அவங்களுக்கு இந்த இதெல்லாம் பேராமீட்டர்ஸ் இல்லைன்னா யூ டூ இட் டைரக்ட்லி. அவங்ககிட்ட பணத்தை மட்டும் கொடுத்துட்டு அவங்ககிட்ட பில்லை வாங்கிருங்க. பில்லை வாங்கி ஜிஎஸ்டி போட்டு பில்லை வாங்கி நீங்க ஃபைல் பண்ணி அதை இதுல போட்டுடலாம். சிஎஸ்ஆர் எக்ஸ்பென்ஸை காமிச்சு போயிடலாம்.
Okay sir. Thank you sir.
Yeah, sir, I have a question. Sivakumar here.
Yes.
I had a question, but it is getting already answered partly. In the question, what are the checks and balances we have in CSR? How do we ensure that the right fund is going to the right place? On a proper spend mandrangla. What monitoring does the CSR organization has in place from government? IT audit mari auditor irukka eppadi check பண்றாங்க?
கவர்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து எப்படி செக் பண்றாங்கன்னா ஃபைனலி உங்க ஆனுவல் ரிப்போர்ட்ஸ் ரிட்டர்ன் சப்மிட் பண்றீங்க இல்லையா, அது மட்டும் தான். they don't check anything, they don't come in between and check what is happening. Okay,
the money is used இல்லையா அந்த மாதிரி
operation. Like see Mr. Ramdas was saying, Jaykumar was saying he takes it directly to the corpus. அதெல்லாம் அவன் பார்க்கிறது கூட இல்லைங்க.
சரி.
So only thing you are showing is in your final, I told you annexure 2 when you go inside, you will say these are the projects I have done and you close it up. அதுக்கு வந்து utilization only check is your utilization certificate from the chartered accountant of the implementing agency.
Okay.
That this money has been utilized for this purpose அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, and it should tally with the books of accounts also. And if doesn't, இங்க சும்மா ஒரு சர்டிஃபிகேட் கொடுத்துட்டு books of account tally ஆனா then again chartered accountant will be in problem. That is the problem.
But are there chances of people doing malpractices எல்லாம் பண்ற வாய்ப்பு இருக்காங்க சார் இதுல? Are there chances of people misusing these funds?
Misusing ஆயிட்டு இருந்தனால தான் they have brought in this unique identification number.
Okay.
That is why recently they have introduced this unique identification number, which you have to receive from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So when you are doing, when a corporate, when is doing, showing that this NGO has done so much work for me, means that UID should be put over there. If that NGO does not have a UID, that money you cannot claim it under CSR.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think we are running short of time. May I request Mr. Shivakumar Palniappan, our MC member, to propose the voter thanks.
Yes, Prashant. Thank you so much. Krishnaswamy sir, it was wonderful. So many of us who are not active in CSR only think it as a small initiative. But in it, I also understood 1 lakh crore has been spent across the country, and Tamil Nadu itself have 4,000 plus crores on the spend panirkom அப்படிங்கிற information we understand. It's a huge money that's going into social work through corporations and their profits. So this session was very, very eye-opening, enlightening for all of us in the corporate world. I'm sure our young MBA students also would have learned a lot from this session, sir. Thank you so very much on behalf of CMA for your valuable time. Your time spent பண்ணி எங்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு ஷேர் பண்ணீங்க. I think it's a great session, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us on this Monday Musings. So ensure that you come on every Monday evening to learn from one of the best experts across the country. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Very, very interesting program. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
We look forward to more programs from you in the days to come. Maybe we can do a workshop.
We will do a live training program for NGOs.
For NGOs where they need capacity building. I think CMA can possibly help in.
I'll get some additional
making them eligible to get CSR funds and some amount of management training so that they may be doing good work, but they should be able to get the norms, overall qualifying norms. We can sit some time and then maybe with Prashant and Shivakumar and maybe our president find out what is possible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.